All rise. Pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Today's informational meeting is covering the 6 articles on the ballot. There are ballots up here if you don't have one, so you can follow along. There will be 2 slideshows, one to do with the referendum versus open town meeting, and the other for the transfer station truck. All right, so the first article, question 1, is if the town utilize $65,000 from the transfer station reserve account for the first of a 5-year purchase payment on a new roll-off truck for the transportation of waste. Payments by year, year 2, $45,283.08 through year 5, ending with $45,283.08. Now we do have a slideshow, and Mr. Pine, the chair of the truck committee, will be speaking to.
Hello. Yeah. Just as we go through the slides, get through the whole presentation, and then if there's any questions, I'll answer them. If I can't, then I'll turn it back to the select board. Rob is here also for the truck committee, and Tom is too, so they can also help me answer questions. Okay, go ahead. This is put on so people will understand what a roll-up truck does. It picks up the dumpsters, puts them on there, they haul it to where it's going, brings it back, drops it back off, and puts it in the place. So that's what a roll-up truck looks like, and what it does. Our current commercial options of CIA, or North Conway Incinerator, have a few issues. Some of it is on time picking up when we call for them to come get it. The other time is that they break down, so we have loaded dumpsters sitting there, and we can't get them empty, and so when the transfer station opens, we're full. So, and then the price continues to increase. Even if the town signs a contract, these guys can come in, say 6 months into the contract, and say, we're raising your tipping limits. Because now we're paying $700 for Conway Incinerator, and then we're paying $275 tipping fee for CIA. And they can jack those up whenever they choose to, even though we do have a signed contract. Because they can say fuel prices have gone up, or tipping fees have gone up, so they're going to adjust their price. If we have our own truck, we control the tipping fees. We only pay what the trucking fees. We hold on to the trucking fees. Meaning, if Maine is at 130 and they decide to go up to 140, okay, so we have to increase for that. But if CIA decides to go, they're going to go to 350 to offset that tipping fee. We can't control that. Go ahead to the next one. This is prompt the town to look into buying a truck. The truck committee went through, we looked at taking one of the old trucks that was down at the transfer station, taking the body off and putting the dump body on there. It won't work. The truck's too short. The bodies that you need for these are longer. So then we looked at checking in different people to haul the trash. CIA and Conway Incinerator are our 2 best options right now. So if we take the money out of the transfer station reserve account to buy the truck, and then each year in July 1st, we make that truck payment again, it comes out of the truck reserve, or the transfer station reserve account. It's not raised and appropriate. We don't have to raise and appropriate any money. And then at the end of the year 6, all the money that was taken out of the truck payment goes back into the transfer reserve account. So it's not costing the taxpayers any money because it's coming out of the reserve account. Go ahead. This truck here is the one that we looked at in July. It is still available. It's a Western Star. It's still available. It's down in Westbrook at Freight Line. So if you guys decide to let us have the truck, or let the town have the truck, this would be the one that we're going to try and purchase because it's still available. Whether or not we can get it for a little bit cheaper because it's now a year older, do not know. But it's still a brand new truck. It's never been used. Go ahead. Total truck monthly expense per year. This would be the insurance on the truck, $172 a month. Maintenance fees, $541. That includes oil changes and stuff like that. And then fuel, estimated amount. We may go up, we may be down. It's just an estimated amount. So the total amount of expense would be $1963. Go ahead. Why the town needs the new public works employee. Currently, we have 2.5 men for public works. You can't count Cliff as a full-time public works because he's out checking on culverts. He's out checking with other contractors to see what we need for road construction or for bids and stuff. So technically, we only have 2 employees. We need a 3rd. The town would save an estimate of $800 a month on hauling its own trash, and the department needs an additional position to cover the vacation, sick time, and the overall manpower. Additional public works employee. It is broken down for the hour per week, the health insurance, FICA, the FML, retirement, weekly expense, and it comes down to $72,540. If you guys vote for the employee, and we get the truck, by the time we buy the truck in November, we're looking probably in January for only 6 months worth of employee, which is broken down on the paperwork that you have. Job description of the public work worker would be transporting the trash, snow blowing, road maintenance, ground maintenance, all around public works employee. He is not a transfer station worker. He is a public works worker. So he will go wherever Cliff tells him he needs. There will be 4 people that would be able to drive that truck if we had the additional. Right now there's only 3. The spreadsheet, if you look, this is Conway Incinerator with a tipping fee of $700. That's for every trip that they make, we pay that $700. CIA tipping fee is $275. That's for every trip that they pay, we pay that tipping fee.
Trucking fee.
Trucking fee, sorry. Trucking fee. Sorry. You see, I told you this right now. And then this would be our yearly expense if we have our own truck. So we broke it down. This first one down here is for 6 months, starting in January, if we got the employee, what it would break down and what the total savings would be versus CIA or Conway Incinerator. What we would save as a town. Then this is year 2 through 5. Again, we're going to save right around 56,000. Hold on a minute. Yeah.
I can't read the spreadsheet. Can you say the numbers?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I know you said to hold the question, but no matter what angle and I can't read the screen.
All right. So if we do the 6 months starting in January, our total savings versus North Conway Incinerator would be $32,690.83. If we did it versus CIA, that number is wrong. It should have been only like 36,000. Yeah. It would be $36,300 $310.37 versus CIA for the first year. So that's our total savings if we're hauling our own truck in just the 6 months. Then you go to years 2 through 5, and it breaks it down. Total savings versus North Conway would be $56,043.48. That's including the employee. Even though we added the employee, we're still going to save that amount of money. And then CIA is $59,000. In year 6, we no longer have the truck payment. So the truck payment goes back into the transfer reserves account, and we're still saving $56,000 on NCI or through North Conway Incinerator, or $59,000 through CIA. Oh, yeah. That would be what we're paying now for CIA and North Conway Incinerator. And that's what the total estimate is, because we're estimating tonnage at 3 tons. Yeah. We're estimating tonnage at about 645 tons, 383 tons. Again, over here, you got per trip is 275 with an average tips of 57,000. Then you got Maine, which we already recycled 130, and Casella is 170. Versus the tons, which is like 1,028. So comparing apples to apples, which is what we did and broke it down, this is us for a full year. And it breaks it down with the employee. This is the estimated truck haul. That's what it's going to cost us, is $185,000 total estimate for us to haul it ourselves, versus the 241 or the 244 on the previous slides. Cost in year 1, like I said, it's estimated. We're going to we'll save January, 6 months. We're going to save $32,000 the last half of the year, or $34,000 compared to North Conway or CIA. So it is a benefit. We are saving money even if we had the employee and with the truck. Go ahead.
That's yours.
2 through 5. That's paying the full amount for the employee. Savings is still $56,000 to $59,000 that we are not spending on trucking fees. Year 6, the annual truck payment is 0. We don't have to pay it anymore, so the truck is paid off. We're still saving $56,000 to $59,000 over NCI or CIA, and we're hoping that it'll get at least 15, maybe 20 years out of the truck, because the truck will be used for nothing but hauling trash. It won't have a plow on it. It won't put a dump truck bed on it. It is strictly just for hauling the trash. Anybody have any questions? Yes?
Wasn't this voted on a private meeting and voted down by the voters?
Yes.
Buying this truck?
Yes, it was. But when it came to town meeting, people, when they finally understood what it was, they wanted to vote it back in.
That should be irrelevant. It was voted down. It was voted down. It should
Wait
be
a minute.
irrelevant.
Don't yell at me.
I'm not yelling at you.
I'm just saying, the voters brought it back to the select board, and the select board agreed to relook at it again and put it back out here for the public, because the public wanted to look at it again. That's what they did.
Once something's been voted on, that should be fine. Not people bring it back and say, okay, we want to have another chance at this.
At the town meeting, I
The
did
first one or
address
the second
this.
one?
I'm sorry?
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
All right.
Second one was just a single article. First town meeting. It was brought up, and I told the taxpayers that I would look at having this on a November referendum. And there didn't seem to be a problem then. It was in agreement. So that's why it is here.
But it's been voted no on. So you can bring back an article up if the voters aren't happy with it, you're saying? And this truck.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the same voters that attended the town meeting asked that it be revisited. So which side of the pie do you want?
That should be irrelevant at that point.
Well, how so? How so? How so can it be irrelevant if the taxpayers ask, hey, can we revisit this?
That truck that's sitting down there, has the town put any money down on that truck or anything?
No, we haven't touched it.
The only thing I did was keep track to see if it was available, and it's still available. But just because it's available today, I could check on it on Monday, and they could say it's sold.
Well, I just think if we were voted down once, and, that should be fine.
But the town people wanted it revisited, and they took it to the select board, so the select board brought it back.
I addressed it in an open town meeting.
And if they don't want it, they'll vote it down again. It's that simple.
Vinnie?
Yeah, actually, the truck was voted down twice. It was voted down first on the referendum for a new truck, and then at the town meeting, it was voted to raise money to purchase a truck and an employee. So it's actually been voted down twice, once on the referendum for the new truck and an employee, and once at the town meeting for raise money to purchase a truck and to money for an employee.
And I'm going to argue that point with you. It was not asked to raise and appropriate. It was asked to take the money out of the transfer station reserve account. It was never asked to raise and appropriate.
Yep, but it's the same article we're seeing now that was on the referendum vote. The same one that's on this paper was voted down previously on referendum vote.
But your townspeople wanted to bring it back. So what is the select board?
Noted, thank you.
Okay, Cindy.
I'm gonna change the subject, because I was at the town meeting and people actually were trying to convince the board to vote on it at the town meeting. And the selectmen took the right choice, I feel, and decided to get more information and put it out to the townspeople, because I think the townspeople were a little bit confused as to what the town what the selectmen wanted to do. So I think they took the appropriate steps to get more information to the tax people, to put it on a November ballot, to make a different decision or the same decision. But either way, I think they made the right decision not to make another vote that night and to bring it back to November. But I do have a different question.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Per the attorney, the town's attorney, the referendum question null and voided the article in the warrant, so we had no choice. So, to correct you, it was not voted on twice. The Article 18 in the warrant was null and void because we put it on as a referendum question due to time constraints and the change in the truck and availabilities. So it was not voted on twice. It was defeated in a referendum question. It was part of the discussion in the town meeting, open town meeting, and that's what spurned this.
Well, on the referendum question, the vote was if the truck purchase was passed, then there would be no need for the question 18.
Okay, now you're incorrect on your questions, Vinny. Article 18, I'm pretty sure, was for the truck to be utilized $180,000 out of the transfer station reserve. And then the next question article was for the additional transfer station employee, which without the truck, the employee was null and void as well. But the original article for $180,000 out of transfer station reserve to purchase a truck was null and void per the town's attorney because it was a referendum question during the same voting period. We cannot have two questions the same in the same voting period. So it null and voided that. So it was not voted upon.
Terry?
So, a number of Brownfield residents asked to have this revisited because they felt they didn't have all of the details that we now are being presented with. They wanted it revisited because they felt they wanted to make an educated decision about the purchase of a new truck and how costs compared to the new truck compared to our current fees. That's what I believe we are seeing right now. And I can't see how there's anything wrong with getting the full picture and being able to vote on such an important decision once you have all of the facts in front of you, which we have now. We didn't have this before. Now we have it, and thank you to the truck committee for doing all the research and putting this all together so we can make an educated decision.
Sydney?
Okay, so my actual question, I just wanted to kind of add that, but my actual question was, I was seeing the salary, what's that break down to approximately hourly? Do you have an idea?
I don't think we broke the.
No, we didn't. Yes, we did. If you go to page 3 on the handout, hourly per week was broken down to $962. Then you take out the health insurance, the FICA, the FML, and the retirement. Weekly expense was $13.95, monthly expense was $6,045, and the annual expense was $72,540.
2405 hourly wage.
Yes, sir.
And nobody's getting rich.
Two questions. First one, I watched the select meeting on Tuesday night. There was a question about getting a trailer for the truck. I understand the reason not wanting it. I'm on board with that. My question though is, what happens if the truck breaks down?
Then we go rent a vehicle. We go rent a
Right,
truck.
but that's an added expense. as well.
It is an added
So,
expense.
that's my question is like, what, there's always what if questions.
Right.
The second question I have is the wage for the employee does not change over 6 years. So there's not going to be any raises for that person?
Raise
I can answer that.
Okay, go ahead.
You, the taxpayers, make the decision on pay raise. We have to estimate, and for anyone to expect us to add 3.5% or 5% or 7% to these figures for an informational, we're giving you flat numbers as they are today. So, again, the taxpayers make that decision on a pay raise. So, to answer your question, if the taxpayers decide for the next 5 years there's no pay raises, there's no change in that one. But I will say this.
Kind of unrealistic though, I would say.
No, that's not, no.
Unrealistic? Again, it depends on the taxpayers, so we can't, it would be wrong of us to present this with a, well, we think. Because then what we think and what you think are two different things. I will caution the insurances, we have zero control on insurances. So please understand, that's why it's stated as an estimate, because we have no control of that. The health insurance and the general vehicle insurance, again, we have no control, so those numbers obviously could, and probably very well, will change. I believe we get both of them in January. End of January, we get told, I know I'm almost positive on the health insurance, I'm not sure on the general vehicle insurance, but by the end of January, we have our expected increase in health insurance. That's accounted.
Lady in the far back.
Do you have a copy of the transportation budget that you can put out? And how much is in the reserve account now?
Currently I believe in the transfer station reserve account was 149 and change. I don't have the hard figure, but it was like 149,000 and change. And the transfer station annually is around $60,000. It averages out to about $60,000 a year in revenue. That's people coming in and dumping and paying for the items that they drop.
Yes.
So we won't be asked to grant raise anything towards the revenue, towards that at all?
No, ma'am.
For the next 6 years?
No, man, the revenue, the transfer station reserve it's essentially, all it does is receive the revenue. The town doesn't take any monies from the transfer station fees and put it anywhere else. It's the way the taxpayers voted on it, it goes into the transfer station reserve account.
Go ahead.
Do these kind of trucks have any kind of warranty?
Yeah, they all have, where it's a new truck, it'll come with a warranty on it.
Do you know for how long?
7
Like-
years usually.
Usually like 7 years, it's like buying a car.
And what's the longevity of one of these type trucks?
15 to 20 years.
15 to 20 years. Yeah.
Can I bring up the fact that the tipping fees have not historically stayed level at all?
Right, tipping fees change
Salaries.
every year.
You can expect if you stay with these carriers, their damn dumping fee is going to go up. It went from 200 to 700 without liquid.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes,
Who owns the dumpsters that you're gonna be loading?
we do, the town does.
The town already owns them?
The town already bought them, no, owns them, they already paid for them.
I have a question on the savings on, year 2 through 5, and after the truck is paid off. The cost of the truck doesn't appear to be included in it.
Because it's not. The cost of the truck is taken out of the transfer reserve account. So it's not raised and appropriate. We don't have to ask the taxpayers for any money because it's coming out of the transfer reserve account. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that why you said the money would be replaced? Like I was like.
At year 6.
Where's the money coming from that's replaced?
Yeah, at year 6, the money that was brought in that was making the truck payment will automatically stay, will automatically go back into the transfer reserve account. So that $45,000 payment that we were making January 1st of every year will revert back into the transfer station after year 6. Yes, dear.
How much do we usually accumulate in the transfer station reserve account each year?
60K average.
Yes.
Compressor brakes, backhoe brakes, is that the money we've been using to fix that? Or have we been appropriating money for that other stuff? So will this affect that or something? I mean, I don't say something to happen, but
Okay, I didn't quite hear your question.
how do we fix the compressor or the backhoe now? Do we appropriate money? Does the town vote on money for that? Or do you take it out of the fund? Or does it come out of the dump fund?
Like the back brakes or?
Yeah, the compressor.
Yeah, the backhoe comes out of the public works
Okay,
maintenance.
that's all. You good?
And, the compactors and the maintenance down there comes out of transfer station reserve.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not something. Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead. Danny.
Yeah, so all money, and I just want to be clear, all money in all accounts that the town has is the taxpayer money. So any money that comes out of the any accounts in the town is taxpayer money. That's our money. Everything the town doesn't have any money, they have the taxpayers' money.
That's,
Say something else?
yeah, go ahead.
I think that's basically what we're trying to tell you, if we got the money, we're not gonna have to ask for it. It's all your money, all the money's yours.
Yeah, so when it's said that it doesn't cost the taxpayer anything, that's really not a true statement, because it's coming out of our account, even though we don't have to raise the rate.
There's a popcorn kind of block.
That could be money that could go back to the taxpayer, when it gets to be a big surplus.
If I'm right on this, go ahead.
The only way that the transfer station reserve account can be utilized for anything other than the transfer station is if we create an article for the town meeting for it to be voted upon. And at town meeting, I believe Mr. Stelly was pretty regular on utilizing transfer station reserve to offset current operating funds. It's been a few years since that's happened, but that's the only thing it can be used for. It cannot be utilized to give back to you, the taxpayer.
But it is taxpayer money.
Every penny that,
Yeah.
folks, come on.
Yeah.
Every penny that's generated in per the town coffers is the taxpayer's dollar.
Okay.
You know, come on.
Well, I mean, it's said that.
We're all taxpayers.
Well, I mean, you hear the statement sometimes, it doesn't cost the taxpayer anything.
It's not increasing the raise and appropriate portion of a budget. There's not $1 being raised and appropriated above that reserve account to pay for any of this.
But no matter which pocket you take the money out of, it's a taxpayer's pocket.
You had a question?
How many days a week is this truck likely to be on the road? Is how much fun it is?
Depending on how many dumpsters we have to unload.
I mean, average, 2 or 3 days?
Yes.
Yes.
2 days last week, we filled 5 containers. So there's, essentially two days of trucking.
Would it be feasible for other towns and communities to hire this truck to make money for the town?
No.
I'll let you answer that.
The reason that we are against signing on other towns is, one, if we have things going on here, it's a snowstorm, just as an example, and we have 5 containers that we have to haul, and we're responsible for another town, that's another 5 containers. We don't have the ability to cover them, plus us, and make sure that, roads get plowed, even during summer maintenance. And not only that, but if it breaks down, if there is a problem, now we're responsible for 2 municipalities because we've made an agreement with them.
Not only that, but if we're trying to stretch this truck for 15 to 20 years, if you add another town on, that's another wear and tear on the truck versus just ours.
Well, presumably if you hire it out, you're making money for the town. The truck doesn't make any money if it sits 5 days a week.
It's not worth having to drive an hour, hour and a half to find this other town, to hook onto their can and drag it, and then do an hour and a half return. Why would we want to add 3 hours to our own guy's day, taking care of someone else's stuff? We got enough to take care of on our own.
Or if a town called and said, hey, can you come up and move the can, ours is full, and put another one in?
That's
Yeah, we would go do that. But we're not gonna haul, I should say that. My feeling is we shouldn't haul anybody else's stuff. We're gonna have enough to do with to keep our trucks running in our own town. Cindy?
Okay, so, to make sure that I understand correctly, because all I see are
Numbers?
positives.
Yeah.
So got any not positives, okay? So looking at the data that's been provided, I see cost savings because we already have the money in the town's transfer station account.
Yep.
That we've already given through taxes.
Okay, it's not given to taxes.
Well, it's already been, it's already in the town's coffers, so to speak. I don't know the right wording, but the town already has it, it's part of the town.
Yeah, it's in the transfer station reserve.
So it's already saved aside that we can purchase the truck. The transfer station is self-sufficient so that it can make this truck's payments for the next 5 years. 5 years. So you don't have to come back to the taxpayers and say, because the warrant article every year, do you want to make this truck payment? That's not going to be asked of us. So that's the positive.
Right.
We're not going to be paying, we're going to be paying less money through a truck payment ourselves than paying an outside vendor.
Right.
By several $1,000s a year.
Right.
At the rate that it's at now, and we know how prices go up.
Right.
So I'm still seeing positives here. That's including an employee that can be used within the public works, which I still feel is of value to us because we can use them during the winter for plowing, which I see our plow guys out for much longer hours than they're supposed to be at. Which I see as a positive. And there's also probably a lot more things that they could do with another employee on board. So that I see as a positive as well. Still costing us less money than giving money to another business and keeping it in-house. Am I understanding this process?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Definitely.
Then year 6,
Yep.
We don't have a truck payment anymore, we have a practically brand new truck. And then all the monies that the transfer station takes in can use this for maintenance or just go on.
It goes back into the transfer
Goes
reserve.
back into
Right.
Okay.
All set?
I think,
EJ?
unless I've got something wrong.
Do we fix our own trucks or do we send them out to be fixed?
Depends on the level of maintenance. Most of the time we do it ourselves. Most of it's done in-house. Unless it's something.
Casper.
Right, like, we had to send the red international down to, international dealer, because there was a head issue, and an electrical issue.
Yeah, so if it's something specialized, I understand
Right,
that, but
right.
if it's
Yeah,
basic
basic
maintenance,
maintenance is
who does
handled.
that work?
Public Works.
Can I say something with that?
Go ahead, Cliff.
Budgeting or mechanic at the shop, he's probably saved the town between the budget, probably $10,000 to $12,000 just in maintenance. If we had to send that truck out, and he fixed it. So we do a line shop, and like Rick said, if we can't do it goes out. We do a lot.
Yes, sir.
Soon as we got, is there a bay available at the garage to keep this truck? And, are there any other big ticket items, like, I see the backhoe at the dump, it's not the best looking machine in the world, is that gonna have to be replaced anytime in the near future?
I would say.
Seems to run all right.
Yeah, we just had a repainted bush, and there was maintenance done, this past year. So the backhoe may not be pretty, but she works pretty good.
All it does is
I'm
still
just thinking,
strength.
you know, we're not gonna be here in a few months because the loan will blow on the backhoe, and you're gonna be asking for 100, 200 grand for backhoe.
I would really hope not.
And is there a bay available to keep this new truck in?
There is not.
That's not the ideal situation.
Well, the ideal situation would be to have an extra 100,000 to put one in.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering, any consideration of paying outright for the truck to prevent all the interest money over 5 years, where we'd have surplus and a decent amount of transfer funds?
I can answer that, but I'm gonna go to the select board.
Last year, last fiscal year, this calendar year, this discussion happened in one or two informational meetings. And at the time, the gentleman behind you and Frank were on the board, and yes, I wanted to. We got it. Buy the truck outright. We'll have to vote the taxpayer. They said, no, let's take it to the taxpayers. So taking a step back and looking at it, yes, there's interest on this, but do we want to deplete reserve accounts to do it? No, because if something catastrophic happens in either the public works department or the transfer station department, we got a problem. Now we gotta find the money elsewhere, and I'm sure that the taxpayers really would not appreciate supplemental tax. Or we would put it on the ballot to take it out of reserve anyway. So it makes sense. It's not a bad interest rate, considering.
Explain the transfer station. Let's go back to, the argument is, can we save any money? If you go back to the transfer station, explain how they raise money from the transfer station.
It's all the dumping fees that you go into the transfer station with a loaded demo. You go in with light bulbs, you go in with e-waste.
You go in with tires.
And that's where that account money comes from.
Correct.
Okay, so what you're doing is taking the money that the transfer station brings in
The
and
revenue.
using it to pay for the truck.
Correct.
Okay, now, so the truck, if you don't use that money to buy this truck, what happens to that money in that transfer station account?
It rolls over every year.
It rolls over.
Correct.
Okay, so the taxpayers are not on the hook to pay for it. It comes out of the transfer station money. I suppose, to Vinnie's point, that could be rolled back into the town budget somehow. I don't know.
Yearly, we would have to ask the taxpayers to vote to utilize that, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, the truck itself is, get rid of the tipping fees and all the rest of it. To buy the truck, we're using transfer station money that the transfer station generates.
Correct.
To buy the truck. So it's not in any way going to raise our taxes for once, which very few
And it
things
saves you
do.
money.
So I think that's the simplest way to explain it. It is being paid for by the transfer station.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Chad.
Question number 2 on the ballot. To see if the town will authorize 42,194.18 from general surplus for an additional public works employee for the remaining fiscal year ending on June 30, 2026. The amount of $72,332.78 will be added to the next fiscal year's payroll article. So for the remainder of this year, if the vote is positive, we would take it out of general surplus for the payroll of this newly created position, because essentially it could be almost 6 months of time that's gone by if we find somebody. And then in the payroll article next year, the $72,332.78 will be on that payroll article. Are there any questions? Okay. Question number 3. To see if the town will utilize $16,000 out of the general surplus account for the public safety building escrow grant. The additional monies are required after a USDA grant audit. Now, we had the escrow account created, 225 in one article, at a town meeting in a warrant, a full warrant, that created that escrow line, and then in April, we transferred the 725 and change to make it the 950 that the USDA had stated to us. We had, that was our 25% buy-in on the $2.898 million grant. They have new people at the USDA that has recently taken over positions, and they performed an audit and reported to the town that we are $16,000 shy. So in order to continue with the grant, we need $16,000 out of general surplus. Are there any questions to that? Yes.
What's the total grant that I guess?
It would be, the grant portion is $2.898 million, I believe, and then ours is, with this article included, and our buy-in is $966. Yes.
Yeah, originally it was for fire department, safety building, and sheriff's accommodations, whatever.
Correct.
And now it's just fire department. I asked,
Yes.
yeah, so this says we're raising it for a public safety building.
Correct.
Yeah. Where's the public safety building?
Well, would you not consider that building public safety when there's fire trucks in it and forestry trucks in it, well, help the public?
Call it a fire department.
But when the money was raised, it was specified specifically.
Correct.
Fire department, safety building, and
I understand.
sheriff's quarters.
Yes.
The grant that, the money that's given by, that was raised, that appropriated by Susan Collins, also specifies those 3 things.
Correct.
Yeah.
So will the grant still work then if it's?
Yes.
fire department?
Yes. The original footprint was asked 14,000, which that drawing was provided. What's the name of that company that did the first drawing? Great Falls. And since with the increase in cost, we're currently down to about 8,000 square foot. So that changes. I mean, that's a 6,000 square foot deficit from when this process started.
When was the audit?
Oh, the USDA audit, not our audit. That was done by the USDA.
When was that?
Month and a half ago, 2 months. I'm
Okay.
sure the fire chief will be able to give you either the email or the information that he received. They did a Zoom call with the USDA last week.
I don't know, I was just asking because you had previously told me in that meeting down there that we were making 16,000.
We were making 16,000?
Somehow we're making 16,000, like, we're ending up on the positive side of the 16,000 versus having it cost us another 16,000.
I guess I don't follow what you're saying.
Maybe we missed, I don't know. I'm just making sure I understand.
Yeah.
So what exactly is that 16,000 that we now have to pay? What does it represent?
It is the 25% buy-in on the USDA grant.
So why is that new to us? If that was what our understanding.
The USDA did an audit and said that we were $16,000 shy, that the new number was $966, not $950, as we've been told for at least the last 18 to 24 months. So
it wasn't
I don't
it
have.
wasn't our miscalculation.
I'm sorry?
It wasn't the town's miscalculation.
No.
That's what we were told.
No, and the USDA, they've actually, with the chief, Chief Peralt is assistant chief, and you've got Whit here, he's on the committee. He's also, I can't think of his title. Lieutenant. What's that?
Deputy chief.
Yeah, deputy, yeah. He's got that. The USDA people have changed exponentially in the last, it seems like 6 months. There's been a major turnover at the USDA office. So, and there was some time last year that we couldn't get any information out of the USDA because they didn't have anybody in the position. They were filling in, and we waited, it was well over 6 weeks because we were waiting on a single piece of paper to turn into RHR Smith for financial reason. They didn't have anybody at the USDA to get that to us. So I don't know.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
It's a question. Okay, so what if the people say they don't want to add another 16,000 to come up with the grant portion because we went from a public safety building down to a fire department? Because it may cost us less money to rehab our current fire station if that's all we're getting as a fire station. Because in the future, all we may be able to afford is a fire station.
I won't answer that question because I don't know the legality to answer that. If we were to, the taxpayers were to refuse the 16,000 on the grant buy-in, I don't know how the USDA would answer that. I don't know. I don't know. Whether it would cease that grant altogether, I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, just to follow up on what BJ asked, who made sure that our grant was not going to in any way be altered now that we are not going to be a safety building, but a fire station? Was that actually looked into and made sure? Because just like you said, this USDA thing popped up. I don't want to go and have the town vote on something and then say, oh, you know what? That grant is no longer eligible because you are not having a sheriff's station, you're not having a warming station. I just want to make sure it was who looked into it, I guess I'm asking.
Well, you guys just had this whole discussion with the USDA on requirement. What did they say?
Public safety building is kind of a title. It doesn't matter what we call it. We can call it Joe's Shake Shack. If you want to put that on the building out front, fine. It doesn't matter what it's called. It will house the fire department. That's its main purpose. We still have not 100% figured out what's going in it, because we have not officially signed a architect contract yet. We're hoping to do that momentarily, more or less. And with their help, we might be able to fit in an office for the sheriff's station.
I just want to make sure that the grant was not going to somehow disappear.
It should not disappear. If we have our portion of the money and we get all of our I's and cross all
So
the
what's
T's,
contingent?
and all the federal red tape that they make us go through. Public safety building is kind of the title. That was just what we called it. We were planning on having a bigger portion of the sheriff's station in there. Probably not going to happen. But there still is a possibility of having an office for the sheriff's department. The architect will give us probably a couple different options, and we're going to try to figure out floor plans and spacing and square footage as best as they can.
But the grant is for no matter what it's called. That's what I want.
Yes. It's for the building, and we can call it whatever we want. That's
It's a valid question, because that's how the grants work, they can be very detailed like that. So it's a really valid question if it initially encompassed all three and then was brought down. That's an extremely valid question, and something that should be confirmed to make sure that there's not an issue with the wording.
I can double check on that further. Now, public safety building is just a title, and we should be good. USDA has a copy of our tentative plans. They're reviewing it. They'll get more copies. They require all the copies of everything that we're doing.
I think the concern is less about the title than it is about what you're doing in the building. If I was funding something, say $100, and I was funding that to do 3 things out of it, and only 1 thing was being done out of it, I might question whether or not I needed to give you the full funds or give you a third of the funds. That's the point that I think we're trying to make. It's not sort of, thinking it's a little minor detail, it's not a minor detail.
Check on it, double check on it, anywhere else can be taken away.
Yeah.
I've written a few grants, so I know.
I don't have an official answer, but I can.
I think you
I
can
can get
get
it.
it.
Why are we talking about downsizing it already when we don't have any estimates or bids or plans?
So when the chief put in for the grant, that's the total. Our portion is $966. That's 25% of the entire project. The whole project budget is $3,864, I think. $3,800,000. And that's our budget. We're building whatever we can build for that money, because we're not asking for any more money. So when he wrote for this grant 4 or 5 years ago, things cost less. He had a time period, COVID, and now everything costs more. Labor, materials, everything costs more. Our budget has not increased. Because the grant is specified, it's to the cent. We're not getting any more money. We can't ask for more money from the feds, that's where it's coming from. And we're not asking the town for more money. So our budget is capped. So every day, things cost more. Something happens, things cost more. Our budget is staying the exact same. So as things cost more, we can build less.
Because the downside, you still gonna need what the 5,000 needs for housing, we're putting in,
We will make it what we need, yes. There will be quite a bit that is left out from what we were, I'll say, hoping to get. The original plan was to try to build a building that will last 50 to 75 years, and for whatever the town might become. That's why, if someone's seen some original drawings, there were meeting rooms, there were bunk rooms, there was a kitchen in that, and some extra storage space and whatnot, because we were hoping to make it last that time. We now probably don't have the money for all of that, and it So the hope is with our architect is to design the building and build it with that thought in mind, so that if in 20 years we need to add living spaces because we need to have 24/7 coverage, is to have that kind of forethought and to build walls and beams on the roof line to make that addition much more easier. Maybe run a little extra conduit, so when we have to do that add-on, it's a lot easier process. That's the hope, is to kind of still plan for the future, but maybe just not build it today, tomorrow, next year is our hope. But when that happens, if we have to hire a ladder truck, or I don't know what, more offices, because we have to have more officers, is to have that plan kind of in place, ready to go, and then we kind of just get that.
Ma'am?
I'm trying to remember back to when this whole process started, and the town was asked if the town wanted a new public safety building, how it was worded, how the grant was worded, how it came to the town to be presented. Was it presented to the town as a public safety building, or was it presented as a new fire station? Because that's a huge difference to me. And as far as, like BJ was saying, is my percentage of how much can I afford? When I go shopping for a new car, hey, I want a 1968 Camaro, all original. What can I afford? A Matchbox car. This is what's all going to come down to. I am seeing dollar signs coming everywhere, but I am seeing a little Matchbox car for my money. That's all I'm saying right here. I know we're talking about $16,000 on this article, but I'm seeing a lot more than just $16,000. I don't think we've had a real conversation about this public safety building since we were authorized this really big grant, which seemed like a really wonderful thing at the time, but I don't know if Brownfield can afford this.
But if we don't do it at this time, we vote down, then when they do need it, we put on the envelope for the
Okay,
whole.
so do you have a scanner, Brian? Do you have a police scanner? Do you? No. I have a police scanner, and would you like to know what I hear on a police scanner every day? I hear the police. I love you, firemen. You assist in rescues, you assist in car accidents, you assist in a lot of things. Right now, you are assisting in fires, and I am thankful for you because we're in a terrible drought. But throughout the year, I hear the police. So if I want to contribute to something, I want to contribute to a public safety building that's going to house our sheriffs.
Well, we
And right
do.
now-
We actually were on the hook, hence why the county tax doubled this year. They got a $10 million project that's going on for the new dispatch center and the Oxford County Sheriff's Department up in Salt Lake.
So what I'm saying is, we wheeled down a public safety building that was supposed to house several things, and all we're getting is a fire station. I'm not saying all. I'm saying a lot of money could rehab the current fire station we have and not go so big. We don't need, Brownfield doesn't need to go so big. We only have, what, 1,600, 1,700 people in this town?
Okay.
The house is on fire, that's gonna be.
They're gonna burn to the ground.
Hopefully, you
They're
get,
on the do not respond list.
hopefully you're not in it. You need the.
They won't come.
I know you don't need the fire department calls.
I do too.
Folks,
It's not every 5 minutes. but
Excuse me.
when you need them, they have.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Now, this isn't a back and forth. This is informational. You have questions, you ask the answer.
I'm sorry.
I'd already called on Chad, and they kept talking to her, so.
All right, so I understand the arguments that some of the taxpayers are making, but we still don't have a final design yet on what the building's gonna be. The building may be a little bit bigger than the 8,000 feet, maybe come in at 9,500 feet. We don't know until we actually have a drawing and we sign the contract for someone to build it, right?
Correct.
So it's either, we started out at 14,000, we may drop down to 10,000. We don't know. And then until we sign the contract, whether or not the drawing comes out, once the drawing comes out and we know exactly what we're getting, I still think we're on the hook already because we've already paid so much money into the grant. Another $16,000 to secure it, to get the new building. I think it's still a goal because we still don't know if it's going to be the 14,000 square feet or if we're going to be down to 9,500 feet. Until we have a drawing and the money is secured, we're still bantering back and forth and it's not doing something good.
Tracy?
I'm good. Take a math question. I wouldn't have read anyways.
I kind of don't understand what the discussion is. We've already won the grant, that is wonderful for the town. We've already put up the 25%. The $16,000 difference isn't nothing, but when you compare it to over $3 million, I'm wondering why we're having this discussion. What the building is called and what all it includes isn't known yet. Of course, the committee will do the best they can to get the most out of it, but we need a new building. We got the grant. Let's move forward and stop debating this endlessly over what it's called.
I'm not saying the fire station is a bad idea at all. I think that to your point of why we're debating it, I don't know if anybody else, but I got a 55% tax increase this year. I mean, it was pretty sticker shocking, and I've heard a lot of other people have the same sort of idea. And so $16,000 doesn't seem a lot for a $3 million building at all. I agree. However, the more and more we add, the more our taxes will go up. There's a gentleman who spoke a bunch of times stating that every 10 years our taxes are going to double. Well, that's going to drive a lot of locals out of the area, and it's just sad to see. So I don't know why they went up so much this year. I was heard they went from like 70% to 100%. I guess your question for you guys: who chooses what percentage we get?
This
taxed?
discussion isn't, we're here for an informational meeting on the ballot questions.
Sure.
If you want to get into the topic of assessment, how it happens, how your property was assessed, this is not the point.
Right, I was referring to her reasoning. She was asking why we're paying $16,000. That may be part of it, that we're all feeling the pain of the tax increase. So that's legitimate response to her question.
Right, and I'm not disagreeing with that point, but it's just a point.
Sure.
To ask the questions on, well, why did it go from 70 to 100%? We're not getting that.
Okay. Well, is there going to be a meeting on that eventually?
Actually, we're working on a mailer.
Yes.
With a lot of explanation.
Okay.
Everybody can have their first game.
Okay.
And then
What's the date of that
we'll
meeting?
schedule something. We don't have a meeting yet.
Oh, we haven't got a date on it.
Ms. Barnes?
Do we already have the money that from the grant? Did they already pay out that money?
No, ma'am, we have not received one penny from the U.S.
Okay, then we have been pledged money, but unless we do all of our stuff right, we may not get that reimbursement. I just did a grant a couple of years ago, and although the number that they awarded said X, they didn't reimburse us the whole number that was awarded initially. So there are steps that have to be followed in order to get that money coming in. So I don't think we need to just stop discussions and assume that that money is all going to come, because it doesn't necessarily happen that way. Now, I didn't write the grant, I haven't seen the paperwork, but just so everybody knows, that does sometimes happen. If you don't cross your eyes, dot your eyes and cross your T's, then you don't always get reimbursed for the whole amount. So I think it's pertinent to ask questions that need to be asked.
Yeah, originally, I think Senator Collins sent the representative down, and this was gonna be the emergency disaster building, and that changed to the fire department, I guess. Now, the fire department, with the new building and the grant and the design, it's gonna be, that's $219,000 architect fees approximately, plus the town's gonna have a representative possibly where, to oversee the project, and that might go up to 100,000. Is that right?
I don't know the exact number for the architect because I believe Jewett, the company that is in talks right now, is still in talks, and I'm pretty sure they had a Zoom meeting with USDA and Jewett and the chief to answer those questions. So I don't know what the actual two-penny number is that Jewett's going to charge us architecture. I don't know.
Well, it was bounced around at one of the safety board meetings I went to.
Right, and
This committee said around 200.
Numbers have gone around, but we don't have solid numbers. It's estimates because we haven't signed with anyone. Nothing's been signed. Right. This is all just rough talk. So.
Yeah, and the other is, overseer for the project would be, the town representative for 100,000, up to 100,000.
150. 150.
How many?
150.
150?
Correct.
Now, if like Cindy said, we just got a standardized building that's already like the town garage. We wouldn't need an architect, we wouldn't need someone to oversee it.
Well, actually, yes, you do. There's environmental impacts, there are inspection requirements, so there's an expectation that we're going to have to pay some money.
I know with the fire department, they need stuff to hang the hoses, to dry. There's definitely a decontamination area for both the people in their fire suits and everything. So there is additional expenses, but it seems like all we need is a fire department. Because we're not going to have any housing in a disaster for an emergency like was planned originally. Okay. Which was talked about originally. I don't know if it was planned originally.
Yep. No. Okay, question number 4. Shall the town approve the use of a secret ballot voting process which is currently used to elect the town's municipal officers for the approval of all warrant articles, including those involving the town budget? A yes vote in favor of this item would support having all voters cast ballots through the secret ballot voting process for all warrant articles beginning at the next annual town meeting, while a no vote in opposition would have the town continue to use the existing process of voting on warrant articles at an in-person town meeting. Now, we do have a slideshow for this. All right, understanding your voice. What is an open town meeting? It's a very traditional in New England form of direct democracy. Eligible voters participate and communicate their vote. Articles can be amended during the meeting, and voting is by voice, hand, or ballot. So I get those multicolor ones. Okay, secret ballot. Just what it is. You walk into a poll, you do your voting. There's no public debate, and articles are finalized before voting. So this system is intended to prevent coercion, intimidation, bribery by allowing voters to cast their ballots in complete privacy. Feature open town meeting is an in-person secret ballot for referendum. Debate and amendments in the open, yes. The referendum vote at the discretion of the select board through informational meetings prior to the public hearing. Open town meeting, often lower turnout. Referendum, often higher. Transparency in the open is high, where it's moderate in the referendum. And accessibility is limited for people that must attend, vice the broader polling hours, which is 12 hours, correct? 8 to 8. Now, in this case, the ballot is twofold, single warrant, twofold, because we have the elected officials and committees and board members that were part of that election process as well. Pros of voting by secret ballot instead of at open town meeting. More people have the opportunity to vote. They can request absentee ballots, which will be available 30 days prior to the vote. So they do have that. I can minimize the impact of special interest groups because in open town meeting, we won't have a special group standing up saying, no, 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 we want the money for this. So, privacy of voters, and it's a much more orderly election process with doing that with the ballots. In, vote, and you're out. There, as some of you may know, it is sometimes kind of hard to contain the town meeting. Cons of voting. Goes against tradition. Budget process starts much early in the fiscal year and may result in an inaccurate proposed budget. Now, speaking to that, we've already started the budget committee. Due to, if the vote is affirmative in November, we have to have our budgeting done and finalized by the end of January. Because I believe it was passed that the booklet, the warrant booklet that everybody gets every year, that would be utilized for an informational, and there would still be the graphs in there by line item, so that you can come in as taxpayers to an informational meeting and propose changes to that. So, in order to meet our timeline, because we have to have print time, we have to have absentee ballot time, we have to have the budget wrapped up. That's halfway through our current fiscal year. We are July 1 to June 30. So we actually vote on our budget 3 weeks prior to the end of the fiscal year, whether it's open or referendum. But our process for the open town meeting is longer, because all we have to do at this point is we have a better understanding come April on where we stand budgetarily. And there are changes to the articles that have gone in front of the budget committee that we do change because our numbers change. So, doesn't allow for free or open debate during elections. It's strictly a yes or no vote. The cost to conduct the election is greater. If an essential article fails, it would have a negative impact to the taxpayers in the town. The select board ultimately decides to amend articles or not. An informational meeting, and I posed this question to my colleagues, and I did it as well in a selectmen's meeting. My question was, if there's 50 of you taxpayers and 10 of you want an article amended, is it wrong if we don't amend that article? Because the other 40 are saying no? So it's difficult. It really is difficult. It would be on our part, because we can't justify that change. There's only a fifth of you that want to make that change. And those are hypothetical, numbers people. So it is going to make it difficult on us to make those decisions. We want to make the decisions to make everybody happy. It doesn't happen that way. So it would be difficult. And in order to make proper amendments, we'd have to have a monitor, which means we've got to pay them. Well, we don't want to do that, because it's already going to cost us stuff. All right, posting and warrants, $3. Ballots, printing and paper, $60. Moderator, $400. Tally cards, $275. Ballot clerks and counters, $180. Annual town report books, $250. $897. Preparation cost, $550. Currently, we're right around $2,365.99 for an open town meeting. Now, our budget committee is elected or appointed, but there's no pay, so we're good there. And the ballot clerks and counters treat us very, very well. I appreciate what they do. Secret ballot. We have to rent the machine. Now, we were looking into buying it. It was a DS950. That was one of the better ones that does have a warranty and a maintenance to it. But the low end price started at $8,500, and the balloting is limited. So, spoke to the Secretary of State's office. We pay a rental on the machine, $2,060 per election. We have to account for 3 elections per year. So you have your annual town meeting. As you can see, we have a November referendum, which is state and federal, but it gives us the opportunity to pose these articles to you, and still we're doing the entire election process anyway. So it's perfect. There's also the opportunity in March, April, prior to the town meeting, just like at April 1st, we had several articles that went out on ballot for a referendum vote. So we need to account for that for 3 per year. Tabulated programming, every time we have a ballot for local on that machine, they need to come down, plug into it, flash it, and that costs us $370. So that's 3 times a year. Price for 1,200 7-page ballots. The 7-page ballots, if you take a standard annual town meeting warrant, you're looking at about 7 pages, because the machine's reading them front to back. It's still 7 pages. Figure 25 to 30 articles. Now, those ballots won't have the tables like you're used to seeing in the book, but you'll have that book printed up prior, so you can educate yourself on land matters. So, again, 3 times. Warrant, $2.40. Annual town report books, $500. The reason for $500 is it does seem historically plausible that you get more people to go to a referendum, to do a referendum vote. Therefore, more people are going to want to see the books so that they can make an educated guess, because if they did have the intention of going to an open town meeting, they don't have that opportunity to voice or ask the questions. It's just one information. Prep cost, $1,000. Ballot clerks are up. With the machine, we have to have ballot clerks on standby, because if the machine goes down, we still have to count ballots. Otherwise, it nullifies the election process. So, we have to account for that 720. We may not need them. If the machine works like it's supposed to and flawlessly, perfect. But if not, we need to have the money to pay the ballot clerks for their counting of the time. Total, $73,40,38, and that should handle, that's the annual town meeting. The price will go up if we have 2 more. Next. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Why is the difference in ballot clerks 180 for open meeting, 724?
Because we only need 3 people. When it's open town meeting, what happens? You have one person on one side of the room, you have one person on the other side of the room, and they walk and they count. There's the yeses. Okay, I got 19, you got 30. All right, now do the no's. You're talking ballots. Counters. The regular election process, let's see, Deb, Whit, Thais, there's what, 6 people that are counting, just counting. Actually, it's more than that, it's 8 people counting. You, Lynn, those 2, yeah, so there were 8 people there. So hang on, I'll get to you.
Okay.
So there's 8 people, and that's just a local election. Now we got to count 7 pages of ballot. They have to be able to pay these people. So it's going to take a lot more time. Now, granted, that's contingency if the machine fails. But we still have to prepare for it. Because if it does happen, I would much rather have the people on the hook to be able to pay them and not nullify an election.
You're going that you're already paying them anyway because they're there for the
No, ma'am.
election, right?
No, ma'am. If we're doing the referendum full electronic ballot. So the only people that the elections officer would need are the people that come in, you check, yep, you're good to go, here's your ballot. Now they're going to vote, the person that stands at the machine, and they feed it in. So you're only talking essentially four people for the day. So there is an exponential change. We don't need ballot counters while the polls are open, because no counting is happening. The only counting is probably somebody at the front door, so that we know our numbers when they come in. Yes?
So, if there is a secret ballot referendum and an article fails, what happens?
Okay. Dependent upon the article. If it is a budgetary article, it will, per referendum, if that is the way it is done, it will revert to the previous year's budgeted amount. The reason that did not apply in the open town meeting is because, one, it was a referendum, and two, there was already amendments that were shot down as well. Per referendum, if the vote is no on a budgetary requirement, it would revert to the previous year's budgeted amount. Yes?
You have the next question. Yeah, go first. No, you go ahead.
All right.
So this breakdown is, it's not for the, it includes what would have been done in the county. So it's rolled into a referendum. Going to vote. So we already vote right before the town meeting, right?
No.
We should have a vote.
Well, the only thing that you were voting on is the elected positions.
Right.
Correct.
So what is,
Two pages.
what I want to know though is, we're still going to have some of those costs for that vote that we already hold.
No, ma'am.
There's no cost for that vote?
You're going to a 7-page ballot.
Yeah, I understand that. What I'm asking for is, what's the cost now for that voting? And then we can compare it to this. It's not an additional $73.40 over what we currently.
No, ma'am, that's $5,300 difference.
Well, I don't see that. I can't. Where's that?
Right here.
We're talking about when we vote now.
We already vote now. We have it.
Correct.
We have a voting day.
Correct.
And it's paid for. What's the difference between that cost and this? That's
$5,000.
so.
$5,000. $2365.99.
She's not talking about town meeting, she's talking about when we vote for selectmen.
Ma'am.
From that 8 to 8.
Ma'am, I understand the question fully. We are currently in what's called a bifurcated town meeting, okay? What happens in a bifurcated town meeting? The town meeting is open on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, the same time that the polls open. Okay, the polls are for the locally elected officials, committee and board members, okay? That's a 2-page ballot. We pay $180 for the clerks and counters to come in and count those ballots for those elected officials. So there's what, 235, I believe, this past year, 233, 235, okay? Now, the reason the $5,000 difference is because we're paying for a machine rental. We don't need the ballot card counters unless that machine fails. We have to have those people on the hook. So essentially it's costing us $2,365.99 to do one election for the year, the annual town meeting. Now, it's called an election, but it's a bifurcated election process. We do the Tuesday, it is, when we suspend the town meeting, the vote. When we do the polling.
On Wednesday.
We go into, it is recessed until Wednesday when we open up for the open town meeting portion where we come in and read the articles. So there's a $5,000 difference between the two. But we still have to account to make sure we have the money available if the machine goes down. So that's, man, I hope we don't pages, they'd be here for days.
I don't know.
So, this year, so I'm new to getting the town hall, so, this year though, we had 2 town meetings, did they both cost us that amount?
2 town meetings, also.
Well, we had come back again for the one article, so, as far as the town budget went, so we had the annual town meeting, and then we had to come back again
Well,
with another moderator, so I'm just asking, yeah, I'm just curious.
well, it wouldn't happen if it was referendum.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah, so,
Vote was no.
yes, that's my point, so,
We would say that.
but, well, yeah, right, so what I'm saying is that we probably spent 4,700 this year, right, to be at 2 meetings with people that were attend.
No, because it was open town meeting. We didn't have to pay anybody other than the moderator to be here.
Right, because that's the cost breakdown for an open town meeting right there in front of us.
Correct.
Okay, so we did that twice, is what I'm saying, this year.
Right, but it was, you're missing the bifurcated part, okay? When you come to open town meeting, do you get a ballot?
No.
Exactly. So there's no cost there. You're not getting a ballot. I don't require or have to have ballot counters.
Sure.
I got 2 ladies that will stand up, write down, because it's open discussion.
No, absolutely.
So there's no added expense other than the moderator in that case.
Yeah.
But typically, that doesn't happen. Not only that, if we go to the referendum part, it's it. It's yes or no.
Right.
That article would have placed it to the previous year's budget.
Right.
Because we can't referendum, there's no amendment.
Right. What I'm saying is, if you're basing off of this year, say we rented the counting machine, okay? It's at $7,000 something, okay? It would have been this year, I'm not saying every year you have 2 meetings, this year we have never come back, is what I'm saying. This year there's probably like a couple $1,000 difference. Because we didn't come back twice, that's my point. I understand what you're saying.
It would,
So,
in referendum style, yes, there would be an increase because we would have to buy purchase ballots.
right.
That's why it would be, it's prudent for us to plan on 3 per year. That way we're covered. If there's only 2, that's a surplus of the admin. So, and I did have the question going to RHR and the town attorney on the admin, fixed admin cost budget. If we can create a reserve account, reserve line for that, and what's unexpended rolls into that, and we can utilize money out of that to offset the raising fund. I am waiting on those questions to be answered.
Okay. I got a whole bunch of questions lined up here, but I think what Chris was trying to say is, we also go in November and we have ballot clerks and that sort of thing. I think that's what the comparison was how much does it cost with that type of election versus,
for this November referendum, we have to pay anyway because we have to have the polls open
right, exactly. I think that's the
for
point.
the state.
Right, exactly, that's the point.
Okay, just the state.
Right.
So you can count the 180 because we have a local ballot and we need counters.
Yeah.
Now, we did that again in April. We did one last November, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We had a special election. Yeah, we had a special election. So we did that one. So you can take the 180 times it by 3.
Okay, so, my question also is for a referendum. It's twofold, because I want to tie in this ballot machine also. But, for a referendum vote, as much as I hate how Maine has your first choice, second choice, third choice, why on a referendum couldn't you have your public hearing and then have your first choice, second choice, and instead of doing amendments?
Okay. Referendum. This is for budgetary and yes or no questions proposed by the town.
So for
It has
payroll,
nothing to do with,
instead-
it has nothing to do with the state election.
well, no, nothing to do with state election, but
Correct.
like your payroll article is a really good one. Your payroll article is a really great one for arguments on if you want to do an amendment. You have certain articles that every year, those are the common ones that you want to do an amendment. And so that would be a typical one that I would say, maybe you could say, no raise, whatever the Social Security raise was, and I don't know. I mean, it's just throwing it out there for they wanted on that particular one, because you know basically how people feel going historically back 10, 15 years on how amendments go with the payroll articles. Why couldn't a referendum be done that way, knowing how people statistically do an amendment on that article?
Okay, so, I'm fairly certain in the selectmen's meeting that it was brought forth, town report, and an informational meeting, and other towns are doing the referendum vote, and they're having an informational meeting, voting, then has another informational meeting to discuss the vote. Don't know, there is a distinct difference in the town. One of the towns that does that, they're a charter town, they have their own constitution, and their own charter commission, okay, so that's a whole different set of rules than what the town of Brownfield has, as we are incorporated. Amendment-wise, either way we go, just like this right here, folks, we're doing an informational meeting to let the taxpayers ask the questions. We will do the same thing, hence why, if you go to the next slide, please, why we're going up on the vote count. Because when the referendum vote and the ability to have an absentee ballot, we could have an increase in people coming in, stopping in real quick to get a vote. Because, I'm sorry?
That's a good thing.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. We're increasing that number because it has the opportunity to present more people to vote.
Yeah.
How do we amend it? That's my question to everyone. If you have an informational meeting, folks, and there are 50 people show up and only 10 of them want to have a change to the payroll article, Article 3, historically, and the select board says, no, there's not enough of you that are saying no to this, that you want to change. Where does that leave us?
See, this is every time. In every town meeting,
There you go.
fighting over, but that's the problem. There's 100 people fighting over everything that happens in town, which isn't right. So you print more books, let them vote, and if they don't pass it, go back to last year's budget. Boom.
I 100%
What are we arguing about?
I'm not arguing.
No, I know you're not.
I'm laying it out so that they understand. We hold an informational meeting on an entire warrant. How long do you think it's going to take? I'm going to ask you.
Forever. It's not working. We got 30 people here, nobody can agree on one thing. So, why do we vote?
So, but let me ask, I would like to ask this question of everybody here. Because I value your opinion.
Yes, sure.
I do.
What's that? What's
You know, you know.
Not probably. I never do that.
You know what?
I know you.
My question to everybody here. We want the proposal, yes, I agree that more people historically will show up for a referendum vote. Okay? 300 to 400 people. Usually if it's a really hot contested gubernatorial, federal is a joke, but gubernatorial, if it's pretty hot and heavy, we'll get 500, 518, I believe, like 8 years ago. We have those that many. You want an informational because you want to go over this, but you don't want to take the time to go to a town meeting. 3 hours, and everybody in the audience has the chance to throw an amendment, throw out what they want done, how they want the change done, and guess who has zero authority to change that? The 3 people that are elected. At that point, it's you, the taxpayers, the majority vote that makes the changes. You want to give up that ability to make those changes so you don't have to sit here for 3 hours. But yet you want us to have an informational meeting so you can propose these amendments and try to convince the three people that are elected to change it.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do though? Because you work for us, correct?
But what's the difference? You don't want to come here for 3 hours for a town meeting. You just want to come here for 5
You know,
hours.
listen to that.
She's taking it right now. You can sit in your house and watch the information
Yeah.
Oh,
They can sit home and watch it on Facebook Live, they don't have to come in here and they still get the information.
yeah, agreed.
Possible.
Either way this goes, folks, it's on the ballot, majority vote wins. Whichever way it goes, whether we remain bifurcated or we go on a referendum, the administration is going to follow the will of the taxpayers. Our budgetary changes will occur because of condensed timeframes. But we will do our best to make sure that a referendum goes off unhinged and good to go. Either way it goes, taxpayers will have their say. Okay.
So Rick, are you saying that, for the referendum vote, people get books ahead of time, they see all the information at an informational meeting? At that point, if there are members of the public who want those articles amended, it'll be up to the select board to decide whether to amend them or not.
Yes.
But at town meeting,
Once the amendment's
the
made, it's out of our.
so the books are given out, people see everything, we discuss it all, the people decide
Correct.
if an amendment
Correct.
is going to happen. So that's what you're losing if we go to referendum.
Yep.
Okay.
Not that the select board won't take into consideration changing articles at an informational meeting. Not yet.
So if we vote yes on this, this eliminates the annual town meeting basically?
It ends the open
The
town meeting.
attended town meeting.
When you all come together and raise your
Yeah,
hand.
okay, so that's if we vote.
Yes.
This was brought up as an amendment at the last town meeting.
Well,
Yeah, and it was voted down by such a disparity, the moderator didn't even bother counting the votes. Okay? Now, voting and having the ability to talk to my neighbors, see what their opinions are, if I'm wrong, if they're wrong, isn't a budgetary thing. It's a democratic thing. It's the only time, and I would like to see my kids, my grandchildren, go to a town meeting and have a town meeting and participate with their friends and interact like we're doing now. This is like an annual town meeting. Yep. And this is what will be denied. The difference is at the annual town meeting, there's another 75 to 100 people that show up, and we have the right, as citizens, because it's a town meeting, not a selectmen's meeting, to change the amendments and vote on it and change them as citizens. Whether we make mistakes or not, it's like we make mistakes, and that's acceptable. We make mistakes. But, you know, to do away with something as democratic as an annual town meeting for 3 hours, 4 hours out of an entire year, that's all that's required of us. To meet our neighbors, see who they are, face to face, know who our selectmen are, and who our town clerk is, and we enjoy that. We get to know who they are. But to do away with that, to me, is ludicrous. I mean, for a few dollars.
I want to address what you had said at the beginning.
Yeah.
That this was shut down at town meeting. The select board was brought this by a taxpayer, and we looked into it. As you can tell, we spent some time on it. May not have been as fast as people wanted, but we did take the time to do it. And we took it seriously. Just like I know that I have said repeatedly in several selectmen's meetings, bring it to us and see what we can do. Bring it to us. No problem. It was brought to us, folks. And that's why you're seeing it here on this referendum. Okay? Regardless of how you're going to vote, vote how you see fit. Doesn't matter to me. I know how I'm voting. And it ain't none of your damn business. Your vote is your business. Vote accordingly. That's all I'll say on that. Regardless of the outcome. Doesn't matter. It's what's good for the tribe, not the individuals. And that's why it was on the referendum. I do want to definitely tell everybody here, please, bring it to us. We got no problem putting it on the ballot, folks. As long as it's legal. No problem. Petition. Come in person. Let's talk about it. You don't want to come to a selectmen's meeting? Everybody knows where I'm at. 10 days a week. This is probably bring to a selectmen's meeting, because my colleagues and the other elected officials would appreciate it, because they're in the know. Not that they're not gonna know, but it's a group discussion. Cindy?
Maybe I didn't explain what I was trying to express about the payroll amendments, is that on the hot topic articles that we know, if, for example, payroll, why couldn't you, on a referendum article, give the 3 hot topic choices on that article versus worrying about an amendment beforehand on that particular article on the warrant, say, give them the choice. No raise, the Social Security increase for that year, and I'm throwing out just a random number, 3%. Why couldn't you do that for that particular article?
Oh, we probably could.
I mean,
I don't-
that
I
would
don't see
solve,
that-
that would
I don't see
solve
that,
the.
that we couldn't. I would be very cautious for the town of Brownfield to go to ranked choice voting.
I don't like ranked choice voting.
Doesn't matter.
You know,
What it is.
Let's just say it is.
I don't like it, but what I'm saying is, that
What it
seems to be
is.
the biggest worry, is the amendments, and how those would happen. But for me, in order to allow people that are not able to get out of their house, not able to be here on June 11th or 12th of that year because something came up, it allows more people's voices to be heard.
How so?
How so?
How so?
Because they're sick. Because
No,
they're,
I'm not asking
because
for
they're
one.
old, because
I don't
they're
want to know what
at
everybody's
work,
got a problem.
because they had to fly out and they couldn't attend because
So,
they had to.
But how is that any different if we're doing a referendum or open?
Because
If they have an emergency, they can't be in town to vote.
Because they can
It
vote
is what it
early.
is.
They can vote early.
What if it's they wait because they're going to go to the polls? And I'll throw that at you. They're going to go to the polls. I'm going to the polls. Emergency happens. They fly out next day. Oh, death in the family. Do you really think they're going to think about getting an absentee ballot? No. They're going to board an ass on a
I
plane
think
and
you're
go
going to get
leave
more
their family.
people than that one random person that had the death in the family.
Just saying. I mean, the example that you're giving me is, what if, they can't leave their house?
What if they can't leave their house?
Well, the thing is, I got no problem whatsoever with it going to referendum. I don't get this. It's on the ballot, folks. We're not arguing about it.
I
Just
think
lay it out like, look,
negative.
this is the process that if the taxpayers want this to go to referendum, this is informational.
I
You
appreciate
see
that
this?
you've got it
So-
on the ballot. And I also, the machine, I had a question on the machine.
Ask our machine. As far as the ballot goes, folks, it's on the referendum. You're going to see it in
We've done it before.
Do you think?
Successfully.
Vote accordingly.
The machine, is it too old at this point to have software to update it? Because we could use that to count local.
This is the state's machine.
Yeah.
This is the state's machine, and they're charging us $2,060 for every one of our local elections.
Okay, so that would be,
If we buy one,
so that's not new.
Yeah.
So that's not a new rental.
Yeah, it is. We don't have to pay for the state to have a machine sitting in our building that's only utilized with state ballots. We don't have to rent that. That's on the state. That's what our state tax money pays for. The town doesn't pay a rental fee on that machine because the state owns it, and the state, the Secretary of State's office sends out a rep prior to an election process, plugs that machine in, does what they need to do, they unplug and they leave.
Okay.
And then the town clerk, election officer, receives the state ballots, whether they're state or federal, in the mail. There you go.
Okay, so that's my question though, like in April or November when it's just a regular ballot, you have to pay that $20.60 anyway?
No, it's only if we're utilizing that for our ballots, not state and federal. Only ours, which look historically. We've had special town meetings and local ballots the last 6 times.
So it should be beneficial to buy one
Maybe.
at $8,500.
No, that was, you misunderstand. basically the low-end machine was 8,500. We couldn't get the information out of them for the maintenance or warranty package or the programming package. Because buying that machine, they own the software. We haven't paid that for it. It's a subscription fee. It's no different than my computer down when I work on cars. I have to pay monthly for updates and everything else. And then I pay a yearly subscription fee for 2 different types of software. So we have to do that. The problem we ran into was getting those people to give us the information. That's why we wound up going to the Secretary of State's office and asking them, hey, what do we do here? We can't get a ballot machine company to give us the information. And their answer was, good luck, we can't do it either. But the state is looking at upgrading their machines. When? Pretty sure you asked Eric, they were talking about it back then too.
Well, no,
They were always
we've been talking about it for a long time, because we wanted to try to do our local ballots at the same time. It would reduce ballot clerks, it would reduce.
I'd say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when we, actually, Bill, we were on that discussion, we asked the Secretary of State's office, and Michelle, she's the elections officer, and asked about doing just that. And they were going to whack us $1,500 just to plug into that machine to make it good. Then we had to go through them to buy the ballots. Now, the ballot cost is pretty, the paper stuff is pretty cheap. I mean, we actually do get a good deal going to the Secretary of State's office. So it's pretty very rich compared to what it costs us to take our local ballots and print them out and do all the stuff that we're doing right now. The machine doesn't make it a lot cheaper through the Secretary of State's office. It's still a fee. That's why we didn't do anything, because back then, they were even talking about the state Secretary of State's office saying, we need to update our machines. They're antiquated. The software, we can only do certain patches to it. I want to say 2 years ago, maybe 3, they actually did have a patch problem, and we got a temporary machine on that. The state actually brought a temporary machine out for us to use for a state election. Yeah, I want to say that that's a 4 years. Maybe we do that. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions. One is the amendment process and what Cindy was talking about essentially amending the budget that's put forward, say for payroll. That would be done in an amendment process, and during the amendment, when you're voting on it by referendum, if the amendment gets voted down, the other amount gets approved. How does that work?
This is where folks, personally, I have a problem with this. I don't know how to answer it. I did pose a question to the attorney. In an informational meeting, we're not requiring a moderator. Any and all amendments would be made and decided upon by the selectmen, whoever's on them. That's where my difficulty comes in. Because if this is the informational meeting for an annual town meeting, and I'll just look around, folks, at the number. 25, 30? Half of you say, we want to see a 15% drop in Article 3. The other half say, hell no. Legal grants, folks. What do we do? What do we do? It puts us in a tight spot. Because we've got some people that want to do that. So, to answer your question on the ballot, if we were to put an amendment on the ballot, it has to be its own article. It can't be an amendment to, it has to be an individual article in order to go on that one. So there's two right there. Again, folks, either way this goes, if the majority of the taxpayers vote for referendum, the administration doesn't have a problem accommodating that. There's a lot of unknowns that nobody knows. Information, that's already out. Everybody can see. Amendments, that's a hot topic. How do we change things? I don't know. We've never done it. It's going to be a hard process. I will say this. Budget committee started extremely early this year in anticipation for a yes vote vote for the referendum. Because of our timeline, and referendum, the warrant is a public hearing. Okay? Public hearing, 30 days prior to the vote. Well, absentee ballots are available May 9th. Votes June 9th. Referendum. Okay. Now we're gonna back up. We're gonna have print time, which is 3 weeks. To print the votes. But we still have to have that meeting, right? So May 9th, I have to have, a little no later than May 9th, I have to have a public hearing. That public hearing, as is with this public hearing, October 1st, there will be no changes to that ballot. And the reason we can't make changes to it, folks, if we do, we have to hold another public hearing. We're out of time. We're out of time. And we're trying to accommodate, the questions. There's a little time to get the referendum, this one put together, the truck committee, the articles, get them together. We solidify it Thursday night. But we have to have time for printing. We have to have time for meetings. We have to have time to put everything together. When you do the timeline, end of January, that's it, folks. We have to have our budget done. And amendment-wise, again, do we want to do an informational meeting? This is what's going to be really critical if the referendum, if this article right here is voted yes. We're all going to have to sit down and figure out what's copacetic for the majority. Informational meeting, amendments. We have to. I've never done it. Nobody here's done it. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple questions that
Yes, ma'am.
just for clarification for me. So you said earlier there are some towns that are charter towns and have their own constitution, and then we're incorporated.
Correct.
So I guess this is just me, I'm confused about this because in the town I work for, which is a New Hampshire town, we have a deliberative portion of the town meeting where the amendments are made, and then after the amendments are made, it goes for vote. So why can't we do that here?
Make it happen. Again, this is my point. I'm glad you brought that up as a very good example. None of us here, Ms. Parker, have done any of this.
I just don't know if it's legal.
I've never been in that process.
It's called SC2 town.
Well, this is going to be a learning curve if it's voted yes for everybody. It's a whole different thing. But like you just said, well, they have a deliberative. What's the difference between that term and information? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's semantics. It's semantics.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so you don't know the answer to that question, correct?
But what you're saying is, what is the difference? That's what I'm saying. What is the difference?
I don't.
We're asking, and that's why I really depend on the taxpayers' guidance on this, because I don't know.
Okay. So my next question is, who wrote that slideshow? And why doesn't it have an author on it?
Why does it have to have?
The reason I asked.
No, I want an answer to my question first.
I will answer that.
Transparency.
What's transparency?
No, listen, here's the reason, okay? Somebody takes it from the town's website. We don't know who wrote it, but we just assume the town of Brownfield wrote it. Somebody that works at the town of Brownfield must have wrote this thing, right? Now somebody takes it from the town of Brownfield and shares it on a different webpage. Now they've got people reading this off of all these different web pages and having no idea who wrote the thing. It should have an author.
Okay, all right, so.
The third thing.
I will address this one at a time. My apologies, we didn't put an author on there, folks.
Don't minimize that.
No, I'm not minimizing. I'm accepting responsibility to every one of you by apologizing to you professionally that there's not an author's name on that slideshow. Because you know what? Who's been the one that's been up here presenting? Who's the chair? Me. So I am accountable for any and all. Would you agree with that? So you have my professional apology, all of you, for not having an author on it. I will rectify that situation. The next slideshow for the 17th transparency.
Well, it's just, you don't want
Folks, if you see that we're going to Porter and steal a slideshow from
Can I finish my question?
them. Yeah, you had one left, right?
Yeah, one left.
3, yeah.
And it's really more of a point. You said earlier that this, you kept saying, oh, because you don't want to attend 4-hour meeting once a year. I would like to clarify for this audience and for the public that, first of all, minimizing and oversimplifying can be very misleading.
Okay.
It's not about whether or not people have an interest in spending 4 hours with their neighbors. It's about making sure that everybody has equal access, including those who are shut in. It's about some not speaking up out of fear and anxiety of being targeted with their tax bill, for example. It's about not being targeted over your opinion or your vote. It's about increasing voter participation, which is exactly what municipalities all over the nation are being challenged by more and more as time goes on. And that's exactly what we've been hearing for months, coming from this administration, that there isn't enough involvement. So there's a lot more to it than not wanting to attend. And that's the communication piece that I keep bringing up, because it can be, even though you may not mean it, it can be received in a negative way by the public that's trying to come up with a solution to a very real problem.
Okay, and I would want to address that. I appreciate your constructive criticism, and I appreciate it. And I welcome
Not even criticism, it's an observation and a clarification.
Point of view. This whole thing was brought to a selectmen's meeting. So I guess I'm lost, folks, in how we're not trying to do something with it. To make it more interesting. I just get told that, well, people can't do this, and people can't do that, and people can't do this, and it's all because of this reason. Folks, it's on a referendum. I can't help if somebody can't leave their home. Give me the address, I'll go pick them up.
Fair. Hello. Let me say something. We didn't put this on here because we wanted it on there. We put it on because the people wanted it. They requested it. So we're just trying to do what they want. That's all we're doing.
Ma'am.
My question is, if we vote to change to this form of government, what happens if we decide we don't like it? How big of a deal is it to get out of it?
Same thing, article, referendum question. Yes, ma'am. The key part of this is bifurcated town meeting. That's all people need to do. Open or warrant, closed referendum for election. They can go back at any time. Again, majority vote of the taxpayers. I would like to think whoever's on the board would take that into consideration and put that on as either an article in a special town meeting, in a annual town meeting, or in a regularly scheduled federal or state referendum vote. At any time. Same process. It's an article, majority vote, we go back to that.
Probably the same process now, but being that I'm told that there are any contractual obligations, this is financially speaking, for towns, we have to satisfy those financial contracts, whether it's insurance or whatever, we're legally obligated to satisfy those contracts. Either the new referendum or probably even now it's open, if a budget article is voted negatively, either now or in the new referendum, it reverts to the previous year.
Yep.
Those contracted items, if they are increased properly, insurance, FICA, other things I don't know about, but those are examples. How do those get satisfied? Where does that
previous year's budgeted amount, and there's an overage, a price increase in contractual requirements for the town. Where does the money come from to make that up? General surplus. The way it's supposed to work, if we utilize anything on general surplus without taxpayer vote, so if we have state insurance, we get a problem, an extra 10 grand, and to pay that bill, we statutorily have to. We take $10,000 out of general surplus. We're supposed to raise and appropriate that same $10,000 the next year to replace what was pulled out of that. So, the good kind of, one of the kind of good things about the way we do our budget is we're bottom line. We're not a line item town. It's just a bottom line. So, with the referendum question, Article 5, to raise and appropriate $110,000 for public works. Hypothetical, just go with it. If you say no, and it goes back, out of the line items, the previous year was $100,000, we can take it out of the reserve, from the works reserve, and you look to offset that cost. There's no penalty. Payroll, admin, fixed and non-fixed admin are the ones that we need to be very careful of. Every one of those have a statutory requirement built into them. If they're not paid, if we pay them, and we have to take money out of general surplus, we have to raise and appropriate it the following year. This can put us into a pretty tight spot if the taxpayers keep saying no. Because you're just going to continue to dig a hole. We still have to raise and appropriate that money. So, it's a kind of fine one. The really good thing about, if we were to go to referendum at this point, you vote no on a departmental budget request, we have created reserves for each one of them. 2 reasons.
Could you say that again?
We created departmental reserve accounts for 2 reasons. One, anything that's unexpended rolls over into that reserve account. When budget season comes up, say there's a $5,000 reserve and the planning board's asking for $10,000. And we just went through this exercise the other night. Worked out really well. We can offset that budgetary request by utilizing $2,500 of that $5,000. Now you're only asking for $7,500, which can have a profound impact on the mill rate. Because we're not raising and appropriating so much money. Recirculating. And it works out well, I think. I mean, we already talked about what, $100,000 in savings. We just had a elected officials workshop Thursday. Hey, what do we do to start saving some money? Those reserve accounts make them really handy. Because we won't have to raise and appropriate as much. Because we already have. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd just like to restate again that the last town meeting, the amendment was made for this typical article to replace the town meeting with a referendum vote, and it was overwhelmingly shot down.
Okay.
And then someone came into the selectman's office and asked to have it put on again.
Yep.
Now, if this passes, can I come in next year and ask
Sure
to have
can.
it put on?
I want to implore everybody, I've already said this twice. If you want something,
Right.
bring it to us, folks.
Yeah,
Bring
but
it
now,
in.
but if one person comes in, or 2 people come in, or 50 people come in, it's up to you if that article goes on or not. But if a petition comes in with enough certified signatures, then it has to go on.
Correct.
So basically, this is on here with the selectmen's approval. Because someone come in
Are
and
you questioning whether or not the select board approved this article for referendum? Is that your question?
The selectmen had to approve it,
Is
in
that
order
your
to put
question?
it on there without a petition.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
I want to make sure that everybody's educated on this, Vinny.
They did it because of the survey.
No, we didn't.
Well,
No, I misunderstand. When it was brought to the select board, we collectively said, right, let's check into this.
Yeah.
The administrative assistant, the elections officer, all started asking questions. Then I was like, let's put this to a poll, see how many people will reach out for this. But they were already doing the homework to get this put together. So no, it was not because of a poll.
But you had said at the meeting, we're gonna see if it's just one taxpayer.
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna do a survey.
But we were still working on it.
And then, yeah, no, I didn't say word. So it was more than just one taxpayer coming in.
I see more, I do. But we were working on it.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
But I want to point one thing out about warrants, okay? It is not a taxpayer's warrant. It is a selectman's warrant. Read the top of the page. Folks, we don't just sit around and lose sleep and try to dream up stuff to put on a warrant. There are certain things that we have to do every warrant. They're required. We gotta do them, folks. But I really want this to go, and I'd like to ask this question of everybody in attendance. To me, I just took it as, well, only one person come up, and you know, select board, yeah, you guys say, yeah, it's the wrong one. Are we wrong in doing that?
Nope. No, that's what I'm saying. What was the vote? What was the vote by the selectmen to put the article on the ballot?
The thing is, I mean, what you run it off is, it was done in the town meeting, and it was by far voted down, and then the selectmen decided, yeah, you damn right, we did. That's our job.
That's all I'm bringing up.
What was the question?
What was the vote on?
I don't care. I don't care what the vote was.
Well, you have to have a vote for the article.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. We're here tonight for an informational meeting for that ballot.
Right.
What happened in the last fiscal year's town meeting is irrelevant. This is the ballot.
Well, if
We're
this,
not talking historical.
if this was a town meeting right now, that ballot would be voted on, and there would be more people here at the town meeting to vote on it.
It's not a town meeting, it's an informational meeting.
No, this is now, but I'm saying, if this is gonna be if this was brought up again at an annual town meeting, as it was the last town meeting, the vote would probably be the same.
Okay, right.
We'll find out when the people vote on it. They don't want it, it will be voted down. It's that simple, then.
Yeah, and I'm just bringing up how it was put on the referendum. That's all. So
Well, I'm sure you'll justify it through the newspaper.
Individuals come in, requested it, and the selectmen talked about it, thought about it, made a decision, and approved it as an article on the referendum. That's how it was.
Do I have any other questions in regards to Article 4? Shall the town approve the use of the secret ballot voting? Any other questions? All right, moving on. Question 5, Article 5. To see if the town will vote to accept an amendment to the current short-term rental ordinance, replacing the fire chief requirement for inspection and changing it to owner self-certification. What that means, folks, is every year we now have an application process for the short-term rentals. And instead of having the fire chief go out there every year and do 50 of these, the owners of the short-term rentals are on the hook to self-certify for that application process themselves. So if there's any backlash, something happens, it's not town liability. I.e., you know, the fire chief went out inspected, somebody got hurt. They can't come after us, which we suspect it, the owner self-certified. So it minimizes the town's liability, essentially. So, any questions? Article 6, question 6.
She's got one.
Oh,
You
yes.
knew you were going to get through one, would ya? Okay, so we obviously must have, I haven't read the short-term rental ordinance, but I'm assuming there was a reason why we wanted to have the fire chief go in and inspect it. So, wouldn't it behoove us to make sure we have somebody authorized to go in there once a year? And we are paying the fire chief for this, I'm assuming. So why would we want somebody authorized to make sure that they are complying at least once a year?
One, like I said, it's mitigating the liability on the town. If the fire chief goes in, say next week, and it's all throughout the year, it's not that we have 50 short-term rentals, come to July. I don't know how many's out there on the application. But they're gonna be all throughout the year. So they're gonna come out and say he goes out and he inspects one, and 2 days later, an Airbnb or somebody come up on vacation, and the smoke alarm didn't work. What do you think the likelihood of the town getting a phone call from an attorney going, hey, we got an inspection checklist that the fire chief just inspected this piece of property. The fire alarm didn't work. Would you like to have that phone call?
Well, I wouldn't like to have the phone call.
Well, no, but it's increasing the liability of the town. Okay? Because the town employee, let's face it, folks, society nowadays, lawsuits are lawsuits.
Well, no, I get that. I get that. What's the difference between, okay, you're a mechanic.
Yep.
All right. I got a couple of guys I know that do car inspection.
Yep.
So I'm thinking it's probably about the same as when you inspect your car and you do everything you're supposed to do, make sure everything's okay, you slap the inspection sticker on the car. And a week later,
We still have that liability.
a week later, the car gets into an accident and your shop gets the call that.
Yep. That's why I have a $2 million umbrella.
I'm still thinking, my guys have been doing this for a long time and they've never been held liable for their inspection sticker.
But I got to point out, here's what you're saying.
I'm just saying, I'm just thinking that somehow this, I would love to have Sonia here to speak on why
We've had this discussion.
required in the first place.
When we first brought up the short-term rental ordinance a couple of years ago, we wanted the CEO to go into every building and determine whether it was code compliant. And that got shot down. It was kind of surprising because we figured that there's 50 short-term rentals in town. You would figure like, well, there's probably going to be 50 votes, like against it. But it was more overwhelming than that. So it got defeated and, that was it. And then we started talking about, we really should do something short-term rental-wise to try to protect the town. And also, probably the most important thing, Cindy, was Dickie Perot came to us and he said, if I go to a fire someplace and it's an STR, are there 2 people in there or are there 12 people in there?
Exactly.
And so that's what got this last one that was passed, approved. We kind of felt, somebody kind of felt that there was a bit of a contradiction because we were telling the owner, you're going to self-inspect and you're going to be responsible for everything. And we thought maybe it'd be a good idea if the fire chief was in there and at least made sure there was smoke detectors, 2 means of egress, so forth and so on. And it passed that way. And then it was brought up, aren't we kind of like contradicting us, or the ordinance, saying that we wanted the owner of the place to do the self-inspection? Because that's what they complained about the first time, So we put that responsibility on them. So we had to clear that up because we've got the fire chief going in there doing some, and now we have the owner going in and doing supposedly everything, but it's kind of a contradiction. So the decision was made, let's make the change so that it's all on the owner. That was the main reason.
So if the owner does the inspection, does he have a checklist, sign it, and then you have it notarized so that it's definitely his responsibility? That way there, he can't come back and say, well, I didn't really sign it, but if he gets it notarized, then it's...
That's a good point, Vinny, and I don't have an answer for
you. I mean, it's just a suggestion. It's not a criteria.
Notarizing it is important. They do have to bring in, and hand it to
I thought there was
Mike
not.
Payne, or hand it to Thomas, whoever's taking it in, and then Mike Payne has to review it. And as far as it being notarized, that's the first time that was brought up. And that's more of a procedural thing, so we can require that, and it's a good point. And, at our next workshop, I'll bring that up, and, if the select board's fine with it, we can do that. But again, that's not necessarily something that'll be in the ordinance, that would be procedural, that we would have to require them to do.
Yeah, so that's how
But
it's
it's a good point.
Okay, so the CEO still goes in and does an inspection?
No, no. Well,
See,
the only thing he
accepts
does is,
applications and fees.
he'll take the application, he'll make sure everything is filled out, and then if it's okay, he'll give them a certificate that says they're a short-term rental.
So really nobody's making sure that it's safe other than the owner?
Other than the owner. And that was based on what happened the first time around. And as you saw, that it did get passed the last time, but we wanted to clarify that, and that's why that change was mentioned and brought up, and the wording was changed.
What do other towns do to protect their short-term rentals?
Well, Freiburg puts it all on the owner. And, that's kind of what, we use that as a reference. And we thought, well, maybe it would be better if, if we had the fire chief at least do this, we want to make a few changes. Basically, what it's come down to is that, no, it's going to be the owner who's going to be responsible. The liability will all be with the owner, so.
All right, thank you.
All right, Article number 6, question 6. See if the town will approve using $25,000 out of the building reserve account in anticipation of approval for the enterprise grant for the 26th fiscal year. Failure of grant approval will return funds to the building reserve account. Yes, sir.
You're talking about this building here?
Yes, it's the enterprise grant that can actually be used on any exterior building, but where we would like to concentrate here.
How much is the grant for?
$100,000.
So this year, there was an enterprise grant, which we were awarded. We were working on getting some work done. But I do have to bring up one thing. It's a good thing this is an information meeting, because you saw that it changed with, this grant, by the way, is paid for by HUD. The firehouse, the public safety building is being paid. The grant is through the USDA. And they're basically the same, but they're a little different. For instance, with the enterprise grant, a lady from DECD is really the administrator of it. She's the one that's been working with us. She's done a terrific job working with us. So you notice that there's another article about 16,000, and like if you take 2.898 and take 25% of that, it doesn't come up to 3.8 million. So they have a formula, which I think what they do is they basically charge that percentage on the total cost of the project, not just on what the loan is. So I need to clarify that with Terry Ann Holden, who's with the ECD, to make sure that $25,000 is the amount. It might be $26,500 with the way they figured it, but we'll have that in time and we'll get that information. So basically, what this article is asking: do we want to try to get another grant where basically we're going to get $125,000 worth of work for $25,000 worth of work? So, so far so good this year with with the money, and hey, why not try again next year to see if we can get it also?
Yeah, this is due to the award times, when they say, yes, we have money, it would actually fall in between. That's why it's on this referendum ballot. It's actually going to fall in between January and before our next vote. And we don't know yet if there's going to be a ballot or referendum in March or April. We don't know. Depends on what happens. So that's why it's on this ballot, because I don't want us to waste the time if nothing's going to happen. If I wait until June for that ballot vote, and the taxpayers say no, we've already wasted all the time from now till May for nothing. So, better to get y'all's permission now, and if we Send it in for